Hey guys, welcome to BroTalk. Today we'll be talking about logical fallacies. It's actually going to be a part 2 from the previous episode in which we spoke about other fallacies, and today we'll be speaking about much more common fallacies that we see nowadays. How can we avoid them? But obviously, how can we identify them as well? So please come and join our conversation, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
All right, so I feel like we like this topic so much that we're going to go into part 2 now. And I feel like we might
go into part
3 because, again,
I actually enjoy it a lot, like studying about it, because it's like it brings me back into like previous debates or conversations, arguments that we've had or I've had with other people. And I'm like, whoa, not can I only like remember what other people have told me, but I could remember catching myself into using one. So I'm like, oh, damn, like I got to do my best to try to avoid it now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, easier said than done, don't get me wrong, because we're all going to do them at some point.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's start talking about one of them. Let's dive right into one. So what's the first one you want to bring up that you've noticed it's common, one that you did research on, it was interesting at the same time? Because, again, there's hundreds of them. And me, personally, some of them, I find them so boring, and less common. So which one did you find?
Yeah. Some of them are very boring. But actually, the one that I enjoyed the most studying was the red herring one. Why? Because it's such a common one. I would say maybe it's like top 3. What's a red herring? Well, a red herring is a logical fallacy that occurs when someone distracts from the main issue by introducing an irrelevant or misleading argument.
Okay.
So we see this happen a lot, right? In relationships, a lot in relationships between like girlfriend and boyfriend, husband and wife, where like maybe we're arguing about something and someone happens to maybe, let's say, bring something up from the past.
Okay.
Something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about at the moment. And let's use an example. If we're having a disagreement about household chores and then out of nowhere, oh, but you in the past used to never do it.
Okay.
But I'm doing it now, and I've been doing it, let's say, for the past year or two. What's the point of bringing that up? It's irrelevant now. That's the past. Or let's say you're having an argument about something with your spouse, and they bring up an event from the past on why they feel maybe a certain way, which could be like justifiable, but at the same time you're distracting from what the main argument or topic could be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
One thing that I was able to look into, this fallacy consists into diverting attention from the real issue by focusing instead on the issue, having only a surface relevance to the first.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So an example that I was able to look at was like, let's say me and my son, right? Me and my son grows up, and my son comes and tells me that it's really hard to make a living out here with the salary that he's earning.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, I'm like, well, consider yourself lucky, because back in my day, I was only earning $7 an hour.
By the way, it's a very common phrase that a lot of parents use,
right?
Where they'll say, "Hey, you're in a better situation than I am."
That's a very common.
But you're saying that that's a red herring.
That's a red herring, because the son is trying to like, is trying to make you hear them out in a sense, or trying to vocalize
or vent or something,
or vent about a situation that has really affected them.
Okay.
Or maybe they feel maybe they are earning more than what you're used to. Maybe times have gotten better, maybe not. But that's not the point. The point right now is your son is trying to express to you that with the money he's earning, it's difficult for him to manage, to buy stuff. And I don't know where you have to put yourself in it. Where you're like, oh, well, you should be lucky because you used to live back in my time. I used to struggle. I used to do this.
It used to be worse. You would be in a worse position.
Yeah, you would be in a worse position than I was. So you shouldn't even be complaining. And unfortunately, that is a lot. That is a phrase or a thing or an example that we all tend to say a lot. Because I don't know. I guess we're trying to like maybe unjustify what they're saying by our own personal experience of what we went through, but it is considered a red herring.
Okay, so based on what you said, I let me start with this first.
Okay.
Based on your research and what you're saying, my first question would be, so what is the point of a red herring? Like, why would someone, I'm not saying you, but why would someone use a red herring in the argument with the spouse or the partner or in debate or whatever? Why would someone do that? Like, because your definition, tell me if I'm correct, you said that the red herring is when you mention an event.
When someone distracts from the main issue by introducing an irrelevant or misleading argument.
So, like, you bring up something else that you're saying has nothing to do with this. Okay. Yeah. Why would someone do that during an argument if logically, right, it doesn't make any sense? Why would you bring this if we're talking about this? Like, why would someone do that according to your research or your personal experience?
Well, my personal experience, I think it could fall into like two categories. One, it's a subconscious thing.
Okay.
Like, for example, the example we just gave with the dad and son. Sometimes it just becomes a natural thing in us where when someone tries to compare their struggle or to vent their struggle, we tend to put our struggle above it just because of the experiences we went through, which could either be harder or not, but just because you feel like, in this case, maybe you've been able to provide a better life and you hear like a vent or quote unquote a complaint, then you automatically relate it to yourself. And subconsciously you start to say, oh, you're good. You don't know what it is to live back in my time.
Correct.
So that could be like a subconscious thing.
Okay.
But at the same time, I also view it from when people are losing an argument or when people are trying to find a way out. It's an easy way to divert, especially if you're having like a heated argument.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to divert an argument and maybe like potentially trigger somebody in a sense.
Like they purposely want to trigger you by using a red herring? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, I believe a lot of this comes subconsciously. I don't know if it would come consciously all the time. I mean, it can for sure.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. But sometimes when, let's say, if you're having an argument with your girlfriend and you're making a good point, and then let's say that individual doesn't want to, realize it, and then they don't like, let's say, the way you're talking, or because you said one specific word in the argument, they're like, oh, why are you calling me that? And then now you're in this whole other box, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, could there be a reason on maybe I should have called you that or not? But if now you're gonna like put all the focus on just that one word, because I said it, and not be of the valid points that I'm making, that's doing a red herring.
So so now instead of bringing up an event from the past, let's say, you're clinging to a word
or a tone.
The tone or word, which you mentioned, it could be valid. Like maybe your tone or the word is bad.
It could be valid.
But you're saying that's detracting from the main argument, and you're saying they might use that as like a way to get out of it, to win, or even to take a break mentally from the argument.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because they're realizing I don't have any good points right now, so then they might take a little mental break.
Exactly. Correct.
That's very interesting.
So like it could be used many different ways, and I just find it very. When I was studying this topic, I found it very like funny because like I've been in like experiences where like people have used the red herring against me, or I've used the red herring against them, and it's just like, wow, like now when you actually get to study and investigate these points, now that you're going through life and you tend to like have discussions with people, you're like, well, you're using a red herring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Or you can catch yourself, oh, maybe I shouldn't use it. Unless they don't know, you could get away with it.
I would say, well, first of all, I think, well, actually, I was in a debate the other night. You were there with me.
Okay.
And I don't know if you realize, if you start in a debate, start telling people what fallacies they're doing, then the other person will start to use the same thing on you back. Yeah. I don't know. You remember? I'm not going to say the person's name, but I mentioned just one fallacy they were doing. Tell me now. And I only said it once. And from that night, and then they use the word
fallacy. You're using this fallacy.
They use it like 20 times. But I'm saying, like, if you say that a lot, I've noticed two things will either happen. People they'll like start using it the same thing because they want to be on the same level, or they'll detract from the conversation, and they're like, oh, I can't have a combo with you.
I believe most people will detract.
I mean, of course, you don't want to be using like 50 fallacies. Even if it's true, you don't want to be doing that either, because then the conversation will slow down, and then you won't finish the conversation.
And not everyone knows what this means. What the hell are you talking about? And then I have to explain to you what this is.
And then you detract from the argument because you have to go back and explain.
You have to define of what does red herring mean. And then
you're like, listen, it's not my fault. You're so how are you idiot? I have to explain things to you.
Yeah.
The last thing before we go to your second fallacy is actually, I don't know if you know this, a red herring is also in this context, it's not a fallacy, but a red herring is also a common thing that occurs in the medical field. Mm-hmm. For example, in physical therapy, which is where I have my doctorate in, we learned about red herrings, where it's like, oh, the person is complaining of a certain pain, let's say low back pain, and as you're doing your evaluation, maybe you find something else, right? Some other musculoskeletal problem in the evaluation. And then you, in your mind, you're like, oh, maybe this has to do with this, and you try to connect it. But a lot of the times, that other problem they have is a red herring. Maybe you did find another problem, but most likely than not, it has nothing to do with the main complaint. Mm-hmm. Not only in physical therapy, but in also a lot of parts of the medical field. But I just thought that's an interesting thing. So yeah,
interesting.
So what's this fact? Very interesting. That's the most important thing of this episode. So what's your second fallacy that you've noticed in your life, and that's interesting and common?
Another fallacy that I've noticed is called the fundamental attribution error.
Holy moly, that sounds like a $20 phrase. Wow.
Well, not a lot of people know this, but it's actually a very common thing as well.
Okay.
Because what this fallacy is it tends to assume someone's actions are because of their character rather than their circumstance.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? And what's very interesting about this fallacy as well is that when we also apply this fallacy, or when we ourselves are using it, we tend to apply it to others, but not ourselves. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, as an example, if Mark is late to class, right, it's because they're lazy. But if you're late to class, it's because it was a busy morning, it was a bad morning. So you see, like,
interesting.
For someone else, they arrived late and stuff like that, so they're lazy. So now you're attacking, in a sense, their character. Or
based on an action.
Based on an action. You're assuming someone's actions based on their character and not knowing the circumstance that went on before that, right? I'll give you another example, something that can relate a little bit more. Mm-hmm. We both drive, right? A lot of people in the audience or people are listening to us are also drivers.
Correct.
Right? So if I'm running late to a meeting, it wasn't intentional and there was a good reason for it. When someone else is arriving late to a meeting, they're disrespectful of my time. Mm-hmm. Or when I cut someone off in traffic, I was in a hurry to go somewhere important. When someone cuts me off, they're a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay.
So you see, and in those situations, it's not like you could fix it at the moment.
Yeah.
You're just assuming like, oh, this motherfucker just like cut me off in traffic. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that guy is rushing to the hospital because he has a dying person next to him, or has a pregnant wife that's about to go into labor, right? But obviously, you don't know that.
Yes.
Right? So it's not like, oh, let me pull up to your window and be like, yo, fucking cut me off, bro. Like, but sometimes those are like fundamental attribution errors that we can't distinguish at the moment, but that just happen.
Okay.
Right? While in like discussions or events that happen, and we see someone do something that we probably disagree with, we tend to assume the worst.
Okay.
And go based on whatever they did because of their character instead of what could have possibly happened. Why did they make it on time? Why they never made it? Stuff like that.
So I definitely see what you're saying. I guess the first question that popped into my head is, but what's the line between that? Because it really sounds like you're saying you got to give people the benefit of the doubt, and you can't always, because of what they did, an action, you say it has to be because they're lazy, they're greedy, they're selfish, they're manipulative, right? Because maybe their circumstances made them take that action, which definitely makes sense. But what's the line? Because definitely some people will do horrible things or bad things because it is part of their personality.
And I thought about this. Great question.
Yes, please.
Because before I answer it, we could get to the part of, okay, so if that happens to be the case, let's say it wasn't because of their character, it's just because of circumstance, what can we do to avoid using this fallacy, right? One of the ways to avoid it is understanding different perspectives, or maybe asking questions, giving people the benefit of the doubt, like you mentioned, right? But at the same time, there also is a fine line to it where and I believe the fine line comes when you show some type of pattern.
When there's a pattern,
patterns or things, right? Okay. So if we're going to use the same example, if I don't know somebody and I'm starting to get to know somebody and they show up late, I don't know them, right?
Yes.
And so I could assume it could be because they're lazy. Is it because they're irresponsible, maybe, or is it because they happen to go through a bad circumstance in the morning, right? So it's very hard to assume that once you barely know somebody. But if you happen to know somebody, have a relationship with them, and it's a constant pattern that you're seeing, or whatever excuse they're giving you isn't valid to maybe an agreement you guys came down to, then okay. That's where the fine line comes down to. And it's not just assuming someone's action based on circumstance. Now it is based on character, because I happen to know you and you're showing me a side of you that's very repetitive. That becomes a pattern. So now I am not doing, in a sense, a fallacy, right? I'm not doing a fundamental attribution error, because I'm not basing myself, or I'm not assuming someone's actions based on their character rather than their circumstance, because you're showing me that repetitive times without valid circumstances, this is who you are. This is part of your character. So that's, I feel like, when there's that fine line of not committing this fallacy.
Is there again, I don't know, I'm just thinking, is there a number, or how many times do I give you to disprove that pattern, or yes, this pattern is concrete now? Again, I don't know if there is a stat or an article on it. I don't know, because I wouldn't know. Is it after 2 times, or is it after, or maybe it's 5 times, but it has to be back to back, or is it after 3 times? But what if it's once a month? So do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I guess it depends on the event that you guys are doing with them.
Yeah, I guess so too.
The event, was there an agreement? I guess if this one specific event or agreement has occurred multiple times, either back to back or in a short period of time, I would assume is the best way to narrow down that this is not just a circumstance issue. This is a character issue, in a sense. But it's a very subjective thing at the same time. Some people will give only 2 chances. Other people will give multiple.
Yeah,
it depends what you're able to tolerate, what you're not able to tolerate. If you find that as a pet peeve or not, right? So it's based on the communication you have with that person, I guess.
Yeah.
And as long as you express it and things get fixed, then you wouldn't be committing that error, in a sense. But this is just another fallacy that we could we
avoid.
We could avoid. By giving people the benefit of the doubt, by understanding different perspectives, maybe communicating. But at the same time, we can't forget that if we're going to have this standard on somebody else, that we have to apply it to ourselves too. We can't just go easy on ourselves and be like, oh yeah, I'm always having a bad morning, which is why I'm always late. Not because I'm not irresponsible, So It's got to go both ways.
It's not my fault I watch anime till 2 a.m. and then I get up at 6. It's not my fault. All right. And what about that one? That one for me was more interesting than the first one.
Well,
for me personally.
Was it because I didn't explain it well?
No. Actually, fallacy. All right. And what's the third one?
Okay, so we're gonna go into my theory and then we go into yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that then. The third one that I was able to study was the slippery slope one. Right. Yeah. So it's like the imbalance.
It's like a snake.
It's like a balance. Like slippery slope in a sense, or like it goes up and down like in a wave. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's a slippery slope? Well, a slippery slope occurs when someone asserts that a relatively small step or initial action will lead to a chain of events resulting in a drastic change or undesirable outcome.
Okay.
However, there is no evidence that is offered to prove that this chain reaction will happen. Right? So this is important. When we talk about a slippery slope, for us to, when it comes to a fallacy itself, right? Because just to be able to distinguish so the audience can understand, there's the slippery slope that's valid, and then there's also the slippery slope that's not valid. And how do we distinguish them? Well, one is based on evidence and one isn't. That, like the definition said, right? So let's think of an example. If we allow students to let's say redo a test that we just had, okay, right? One can assume that soon they're going to expect that they could retake and redo every assignment that we have. And eventually they are not going to take their studies seriously.
Because you gave them the opportunity to retake a test?
Because I gave them the opportunity to retake a test. They're going to start to think that every assignment that they have or any following future tests that they might have,
they can redo it.
So they're not going to start to take their study seriously because I could always retake it. So that is called a slippery slope because there's no evidence based on that.
You mean the slippery slope fallacy?
The slippery slope fallacy.
Yeah.
It becomes a fallacy because there is no evidence based on that. That is an assumption that you are making that isn't backed up by anything that could be like valid or could justify that claim that you're making, right? Could it be true? Yes. I guess you would have to look into the studies. But if you're gonna, but I guess every class would be different too. So I'm like, if you're just gonna base it on one class, it's just be like, that's not something that's necessarily true. That's a slippery slope where there's no evidence based on the claim that you're saying.
But when you say evidence, I think maybe we should define not the word evidence, but what do you mean by evidence? Like, are we talking about, because you can't always be asking for evidence. Hey, do you have a study on this? Do you have a meta review on this? Do you have an article that's been published by scholars on this? It's like, obviously that's the best evidence, or do you have a stat on this? But it's like, when you say evidence, are you only talking about objective numbers, or can we use, like, for example, an anecdote, a testimonial? Can we use my own, like, let's say this teacher, right? Let's use this example.
Okay.
The teacher, so far you're saying that what this teacher's thinking is a slippery slope fallacy because there's no evidence. But what if the teacher tells you, listen, I have 20 years doing this of personal experience, right?
And this is something I constantly fall into.
Correct. So, but what do you think about it? All this?
I think it can make sense. I think you're right. A slippery slope, I believe it doesn't necessarily have to just go based on evidence, hardcore numbers in a sense.
Okay.
If you have some type of experience behind something, if you have, or maybe a reasonable argument that maybe you could provide an example out of it, then your slippery slope could be valid in a sense.
When you say that, you mean like completely valid, or like more valid than the fallacy?
Not completely valid.
Yeah. But more.
But there's more density to what you're saying. There's more weight to it, right? So like you said, this teacher might have experience in what they're doing. So because they've bumped into the same results for the past 20 years, they're more inclined to believe that this might be true.
Correct.
Right? But I guess if if a new teacher or someone that hasn't experienced this makes this assumption or claim, then it would fall more into a slippery slope fallacy because there's no evidence based on it, not even your own experience or reasonable argument with examples that you could give me that this is prone to happen in a sense, right?
So it sounds like you're kind of in the middle of like, it's better, the better the evidence, the better.
That's why it's called the slippery slope.
That's true. So you don't want to follow one side or the other, but also, and again, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Because initially I mentioned, but can my personal experience be part of it? And you say, yeah, maybe, depends, right? But maybe my personal experience or my subjectivity that's putting weight is also flawed.
Could be, yeah.
Right? So
that's why
this is hard, this one.
It is, because a lot of people, when they're having arguments or discussions about anything, they tend to use, that's a slippery slope, right? And they use it as a rationale for their position without realizing that they're not providing any evidence. But like you said, it could be objective or subjective, right? And if it's subjective, there could be some flaw to it or not.
I mean, to the objective too, there could be flaws in the numbers too.
Right. If you like
tweak it and stuff.
Tweak it and play around with numbers, you can. So there could be, that's why it's literally called the slippery slope, right? So it's like,
yeah.
But yes, the more evidence you have, and I would say the evidence and the experience that you have based on it would make you not use it as a slippery slope so much.
So wait, you're saying that a mix of objective and subjective is better than just complete objective or complete subjective? Is that what you're saying? Or maybe I don't understand that well. Again, I don't know the answers to these questions.
Yes,
I just think. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh no! Repeat your question. Sorry.
And again, I'm not saying you're saying this, but do you think maybe it's better? Are you saying is it better to have a mix of like objective evidence plus your subjective evidence versus just objective or just subjective alone?
Depends what you're arguing.
Yeah.
Depends what you're arguing. If you're arguing something that can be based on just pure numbers, then it's better just to remain objective. But if there's something that could fall on the subjectivity side of things, then it's like, then you can base it on experience and things like that, I would say. Even like, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like I was just thinking about it, like for example, I don't want to get too deep into this, but I'll give you an example of a slippery slope.
Okay, go.
Like the Second Amendment in this country.
Interesting.
The Second Amendment in this country could be a slippery slope.
Okay.
Why? Because of the right to bear arms. Now, where's the pro? The pro is that America can become a totalitarian country because the government isn't in control of like guns in a sense. They are, but the citizens are capable of having it. Therefore, the government can like overtake or become a totalitarian country. But then there's cons to it as well, as we see it in recent years. There's a lot of maybe school shootings, very irresponsible parents that don't take care of like their weapons, and then kids get hands of it.
Correct.
And then, unfortunately, because of that right that we have here in America, there's like a con to it as well.
Did you say
it's a slippery slope?
Did you say that America can become a totalitarian country if they take away all guns, or are you saying it could be a step into going there?
It could be a step.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be. Then it doesn't mean Australia is a country that doesn't bear arms, but it's not a totalitarian country.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
So that doesn't mean only because they take it away, but it's like a step towards it, right? If they do it now, if they do it a little bit now, that means they could probably do more later. And that's what makes it a slippery slope.
Interesting. But do you have any like, I don't know, examples of like a slippery slope?
So that could be based on that?
Yeah, no, that could be based on evidence?
On evidence, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So one thing that has been going on ever since after 9/11 was the erosion of privacy rights leading to mass surveillance.
Oh yeah,
right.
All right.
So this started after 9/11, which they passed an act which was called the USA Patriot Act in 2001.
Yes,
and it was firstly introduced as to monitor or to be able to target terrorist activity, right? But as time went by, that law expanded, and over time, it was meant to justify or to collect mass data by the NSA.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe that didn't happen in 2001 immediately, but as time went by, years went by, they started to collect data or started to expand the law a little bit more. Okay, now it's going to apply to this. It's going to apply to that. We can start collecting data too, not only just monitor the terrorist activity. We already have the camera surveillance there.
So we might as well expand.
So we might as well expand. And then the law, the letter of the law expands now as well, right? And one thing that we have to prove is it was called the Edward Snowden leaks that happened in 2013, which this guy was able to prove that the government was using this act far beyond its original justification.
Yeah, they made a movie on him.
Right. So, as you could see, one step into something could lead to like something to happen more, right? Then that's what makes, and like this is based on evidence, that's what makes this slippery slope valid in a sense, right?
Because it's like they start up by saying this is only for terrorism,
right,
for the safety of the country,
right? Because it's like we're going to help you guys. We want to make sure there's no more terrorist activity. Great, that is a plus. Do you take some privacy rights away from us because you have to be probably constantly recording us in certain areas? Sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're willing to sacrifice a percentage of that right for our safety.
Yes.
But when you start to like, okay, now I'm going to take a further step. Now, not only we're surveilling terrorist activity, now we're going to start collecting data based on the people that live around there.
Or watch more people.
Or watch more people, and not no more terrorist activity. Now we're going to start watching the citizens, or going into, or digging deeper into that, right? And then once they start expanding the law, and they start and once this guy showed the leaks that the government was using it far more beyond than its justification at first, then we're like, okay, this is unacceptable now.
So basically, it just sounds like they use the excuse of terrorism, which is a valid one, and it did happen, right? They use that reason to not like, hey, we have the right to watch anybody at any time, anywhere now. We're not just doing it for terrorist reasons. Or maybe maybe it's like we have the right to watch anybody for terrorist reasons. But they expanded it
exactly
from the beginning.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's what makes this slippery slope valid.
With evidence.
Because people could say the erosion of privacy rights is leading to mass surveillance. And there is objective evidence behind that, and how we've seen it has expanded from one act to expanding the law to using those mass surveillance cameras for different reasons now.
Got you.
So that's what makes this slippery slope valid, right?
Interesting.
While others, like slippery slopes that contain no evidence and just claims, that's what makes it a fallacy.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm going to start using these. Hey, red herring, slippery slope.
Oh, stop it.
Stop it right now. Oh, do you have evidence? Of course, objective.
But yeah, so those were the three logical fallacies that I was able to study and get into a little bit. Found them very interesting.
Yeah.
How about you? Which were the ones that you were able to study?
Okay, so these are the ones that I've seen tremendously a lot. You probably as well. So the first one I'm going to mention is something called the ad hominem fallacy. I think
very popular. Very common.
You know where you'll hear this one a lot, actually. Piers Morgan's show.
Okay.
He'll actually tell, because there's a lot of people that, his platform, they debate each other, and he'll call people out and say, hey, you're using the ad hominem fallacy. which simply just means that when there's a debate or an argument, instead of arguing the topic or the argument, the logic, you're attacking either the person's personality traits, their past mistakes, which don't get me wrong, sometimes it could be used as part of the argument. You're attacking the person and sometimes even their credibility, their past mistakes, or their personality. That is what the ad hominem fallacy is, right? And I wrote an example here, right? So like, and I thought this was a funny one I wrote. So like, let's say person A says, we need to address climate change based on scientific evidence, right? Right, the world's getting hotter, right? Mm-hmm. And then person B says, what? Coming from someone who drives a gas-powered car, you're a hypocrite, right? And then person B just goes down the line of attacking them.
Right.
So it's like person A is like, hey, listen, let's actually talk about climate change or whatever other topic. I just wrote something funny.
Yeah.
And the person is like, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. So how can we trust you if you're already lying on air? You're a nobody. You're not even a scientist. Like, you don't have a PhD in this and yada yada yada. Right now, of course, you don't have to have a PhD in something to know it well. Obviously, I mean, sometimes it does help, sometimes it doesn't. But so you see where this goes.
I see. I feel like there's a correlation with the ad hominem fallacy and the red herring fallacy. It just seems like it.
Where you're attacking a person.
Where one is using something irrelevant or misleading towards an argument, which is a red herring, and one is attacking the character of the person, which can also be irrelevant or misleading.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Right. Yes.
So towards what the argument is about.
Or you can use both at the same time too.
Yeah, you can use both at the same time.
Or you can use one first, and then once they call you out, you're like, okay, fine. If you use the other one,
right? If you're just using an event, it's probably just a red herring. If you're using someone's character, then it's definitely an ad hominem.
100%. And now we know what the ad hominem fallacy is, right? But now for me, it's like, okay, I'm thinking like, but why do we as humans do that, right? Like, obviously, if there's an argument, let's talk about the content.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, right, like the actual thing that we're trying to resolve or come closer to the truth, right?
Yeah.
Why am I attacking the other person? And it actually, so there's different theories on this, and I'll mention quickly. One of them is called the cognitive dissonance theory, where basically, I think in the last episode, I went over how we as humans form beliefs, right? And as much as we like to think it's logical and objective, most of the time it's not. We get to the conclusion, we form a belief based off a feeling or something subjective, and then we're like, okay, now let me find evidence to back what I believe and feel. Okay. So a lot of the times we fall into this ad hominem fallacy. Why? Because when we're in an argument or a debate, a lot of the times we feel attacked, which is normal to feel attacked because you're debating someone, whatever the topic is. Yeah. You feel attacked, right? You feel like your beliefs and everything that you ever clung onto is being attacked.
Right.
So one of the first things that's going to come out is emotion, because the way you formed your belief initially was emotional. So the first thing that's going to come out is emotional, right? And this happens a lot with religion and with politics, right?
A lot.
Especially with a lot of religious debates. Like, oh, my religion is right, your religion is right, or this point is right. Now, I do think there are good things that come out of religious debates, but it's very easy to fall into fallacies.
Even political ones as well.
Political ones as well. You know, the Republicans, the Democrats, Independent, no matter what party you're in, they all make this type of fallacy, right? Because we as humans, a lot of times, we attach to our identity, we attach our religious political beliefs into our identity.
Do you think it's because it's part of our lifestyle, and like it's part of our lifestyle, we connect to it so much that if someone says something like against it and we become emotional, we start to use ad hominems?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Wait, so you're saying because our religion or our political beliefs is part of our lifestyle, people start attacking, we might feel something, you're saying?
Yeah, because ad hominems are like attacks on people, right?
Yes, on me,
and then
not the argument.
Not the argument. And then And that can happen because I totally disagree with what you're saying. But yet whatever I'm saying is part of my lifestyle.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, let me use an example. Oof.
Yeah.
If they're having a theological debate,
okay,
right, and I disagree with a certain religion doing something,
okay,
and let's use an example.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have to be.
Yeah, go ahead. Use example.
Let's say in the Muslim community, right?
Okay.
The women wearing the hijabs.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. I picture it. Yes.
That's you. If you disagree with it, and you're just like, oh, that's stupid.
Okay.
Or like, why would you cover your woman? And they start making these ad hominems attacks.
The person is making the ad hominem attack saying it's stupid to wear hijab.
Or I read it's stupid or it's wrong.
Okay.
But that's part of their lifestyle.
Okay.
So it's not, and it's not only their belief theologically that women have to wear that.
Okay.
But it's also my life, or like how I, go about this.
Oh, got you. And when they attack you, you start attacking them back with an ad hominem fallacy. Yeah, because if something's part of your lifestyle, it's a part of you, right? Like if someone works out all the time, working out is a part of you. It's part of your identity. So if someone were to tell you, you're such an idiot, you're wasting so much time working out,
right? Because it's your life.
It's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm strong. You're skinny. What's wrong with you? And then you see how you so easy because it's part of your identity. Because we as humans, we do that, right? So yeah, 100%. If it's part of your lifestyle, you're gonna feel some type of way.
Now, question.
Yeah.
Could it be valid to use an ad hominem if you see hypocrisy?
Yes, but I would preface it.
Okay. How?
So, for example, if you want to use, and again, maybe there is a way of using, maybe there's another term for using the ad hominem correctly. I don't know the term.
Okay.
But for example, you could say, for example, like during an argument, I would first attack the argument, but then I would say, you know something? Also, to be fair, like let's say, for example, we were speaking about some type of morality, topic on morality, then I would say, we're talking, but I just want to preface everyone, I don't want to fall into the ad hominem fallacy. It's just that if we're speaking about morality,
you should be the last one talking.
Well, I would rephrase that. I feel that you should be the last person talking because if we look at the pattern of your actions, it shows anti-morality or not really ethical. So if you are not really ethical, and we're speaking about this, yes, the content, what you're saying might be correct, but don't you think it's some kind of hypocrisy that you're speaking about this with me? But I'm prefacing it because I'm saying I don't want to fall into it, but I want you to notice that there is some type of disconnect here. So I think there is a way.
There's a way to use it in a correct way, I would say.
I think if you preface a lot of things,
preface it without like, it's like you're preparing the land.
Correct. I'm preparing for my new attack.
I'm preparing for you to step on my landmine in a sense, right? We're like, listen, I'm basically calling you a hypocrite, but I don't want to fall into this ad hominem and start to attack you personally. But because based on the actions that you've been showing me, or you've showed the world, I don't think you're the best person to talk when it comes to this, right? So I think,
and again, sometimes that might not work because they'll tell you, listen, this is a debate not about not about my credibility, or it's not about me. We're speaking about the content, which sometimes that will trump what the thing I just said. Sometimes I just think it depends on what debate it is.
Yeah, it's case by case. Yeah,
it's case by case. But I would preface it.
Gotcha.
I would preface it. And I think the last thing about the ad hominem fallacy that I would say is, is again, there's other theories of why we do it, but I think the most important thing is the way we avoid falling in it. It really falls into 3 steps. Number 1, you want to separate the person from the argument. Again, easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, you want to asks, does attacking the person actually address the point, right? And you kind of asked me this, maybe if you attack their personality or bring it up, can it make a valid point? Ask yourself, can it bring a valid point? And I'll be honest, a lot of times it's not going to bring a valid point. It's just, a lot of times in debates, people think debating is all about winning, but it's not really about winning. Of course, you want to be the person who looks better, obviously, right? But it's not about winning. It's about getting to the truth or closer to the truth. And the last point is train yourself to focus on logic and decrease your emotional reactions by decreasing fast one thinking and increasing fast two thinking, right? I'm sorry, thinking system two, which is your slower thinking you want to increase, and you want to decrease the emotional component, the fast thinking system one.
Think before I guess you talk, in a sense.
Yes.
I see what you're saying, though.
But you got to do
that's a lot more than just that.
But I feel when you engage in more debates and difficult conversations, you get better at doing this.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe not. I don't know. I think that's also another fallacy that I just thought of.
In the comments, excuse me, you started using this fallacy in the middle of talking.
So go back and
correct yourself.
And redo the episode. But right, but if you're not so used to doing this, you're gonna feel attacked, right? Like what I mentioned a lot of times, why we fall into this. So that's the ad hominem in simple terms. Yeah. So yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what'll be your next one then?
The second one is called the straw man fallacy.
Another popular one.
And it's very easy to fall into this one. Someone that I know, actually you met him too. Someone who's very good at avoiding is, and he's very famous on YouTube, is Rabbi Singer.
Okay.
You met him. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
So it's funny, if you watch his videos now, especially in the last year, a lot of the times in the beginning of his videos, after he hears a certain argument, he'll says, okay, I'm going to steel man this. Steel manning is doing the opposite of straw manning. Okay. Now, what is straw manning? Because I didn't really explain. Straw manning is when you basically take an argument and you dilute it or you exaggerate it so you can tumble it or you can beat it easily. But in reality, that wasn't the original argument they mentioned. Okay? Can
you repeat that?
So basically, the straw man fallacy is when you hear their argument, you take the argument and you dilute it. So you make it into a weaker version of what they actually said, either by just making it weaker, taking out certain points they mentioned, or you exaggerate it, which is another way to straw man it, and you topple it and you beat it. And you're like, so wait, you said this and this, and then you kind of repeat it, but you don't say it completely. You say, but this is all wrong because of X, Y, and Z. And then you tell them, see, I beat your argument, right? But in reality, again, not always, but a lot of the times you straw man it. You basically made their argument weaker because you didn't mention everything. So the way you go against it is you steel man it. So when they give you an argument, right, you say, okay, I'm going to steel man this. So you're saying, and you say exactly what is their argument with their sources. You bring all the hardest evidence to the table of what they're saying, and then you say, I'm going to steel man this. I'm going to bring all your best points here. I'm not going to misrepresent you. I'm not going to exaggerate what you're saying, and I'm not going to dilute it. And you repeat it, everything they mention, and sometimes you help them, right? Where you as the opposite, you make the argument stronger. Right. And then you're like, now that I said all this, and I made your argument stronger, I didn't exaggerate, correct? They're like, no, you didn't. I said everything you said? Yes. Okay. Now, let me show you my points. And if you're able to then bring their argument down, then you kind of won because you made their argument stronger from what they said, and you didn't exaggerate or you didn't change it up. And later on, I'll give an example.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you can actually give an example.
Yes.
You gave an example of the steel man.
Yes.
Right. How can we do it? Which is actually a great point.
Yes.
Where so then the person won't feel like you're trying to exaggerate or dilute their argument. You would just repeat it and bring out their stronger points and be objective about it.
Yes.
Great. Now, what would be an example of straw manning it?
So, like, for example, you mentioned the example of gun control, right? So let's say, for example, right, person A says, I think America would do better if we had more gun safety rules or more gun regulations, let's say.
Okay.
Then person B says, oh, so you want to ban all guns and you want to make America into a totalitarian government? Okay, now, of course, I'm just exaggerating because I want to make a point here, right? But this happens a lot more often, right? Where, what did person A say? He just said, I think we should have gun laws a little bit more stricter or have more regulations, right? Now, that's all they said. Did they say, let's ban all guns and let's make America totalitarian, or like Australia where there's no guns at all, is illegal forever? Never said that. But if you hear the second person I mentioned, they said, oh, what, you want to ban all guns? Oh, already it's a straw man.
They're taking out stuff that, that wasn't even there.
The second person, they exaggerated the first person's argument. They never said that.
Oh, it happens so much.
Yes. And again, a lot of times it happens because of an emotional reaction.
Emotional reaction, or could you be like trying to guilt somebody?
Maybe. I can't really think of a connection of guilty with straw manning. I mean, maybe, definitely. It's definitely a possibility. I just didn't think that way, which is, this is good to have a good conversation, because you bring up things that I didn't even think about. So
you guilt somebody, maybe they did something that you didn't like. Oh, so what would be a straw man? I think.
Okay, let's say you go out with a girl.
So you're going out with a girl, right? And she's wearing a dress, and she's like, "How do I look?" And oh,
you look good.
You look good. So you're trying to say I don't look beautiful? I don't look gorgeous?
Yeah.
You're trying to say that, like, no, like,
it's potentially, or maybe she's just projecting.
She's just projecting, or could she be like exaggerating?
Maybe she's
is that like a straw man out of something you said?
Maybe she's projecting her insecurity and she's using a straw man fallacy potentially. But it's not really an argument though, right? She just asked you for your opinion. You said you look good, and then she's taking like your words and your tone, and she's like kind of exaggerating. Oh, you said
so.
This
Projecting insecureness isn't a straw man.
I don't think so. No. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
I'm not sure at all. But yeah. But I think also the most important thing, right, is, again, I was looking at the theories of why certain things happen, right? So why would a straw man fallacy happen? So there's a theory called cognitive laziness. So mental laziness, right? Because our brains, and I think we spoke about this maybe many episodes ago, or maybe a private conversation, where we as humans, we like to have, how you say it, we do a lot of the word is heuristics, mental shortcuts. Our brains like to do mental shortcuts to maintain and save energy, right? Because when you overthink or you start thinking too much, you get tired because your brain is overthinking. So a lot of the times, our brains like to take an argument and make it simple. Binary options. We want to make it simple so we can attack it. Because there's a lot of arguments, or you might watch a debate where the two sides it's very complex, and it might be too much for you to handle every single point. Even for the most experienced argumenter, debater, you could fall. It's possible. So our brains want to make shortcuts. So you'll either exaggerate it,
right,
or you'll dilute it, and you'll try to make it simple. But a lot of the times, an argument or debate is not so simple. So if you try to make it more simple, you might fall into a straw man fallacy just because your brain is being lazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. It's cool, right?
I didn't think of that. Then that you said that's cognitive laziness.
Cognitive laziness. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, and I also think the most important thing is the way to avoid falling for a straw man fallacy. I also put 3 steps.
Okay.
Number 1, ask, is this what my opponent actually said? That's why when I argue with someone, I say, can you please clarify, or can you say it again? Because I just want to make sure that I'm understanding everything you're saying.
Right.
Actually, that debate I had the other night, where you were watching me do it, right? We realized halfway, like, we weren't on the same page. So I had to ask him, are you saying this, and this, and this? And he was like, no, I'm not saying that. So we had to go back, right?
Right. And it's good to just like establish commonality.
Commonalities, or at least where you add where am I completely, and where do we agree until the last straw?
Then, where do we differ?
Yeah, what's that point? And let's talk about that. The second one is clarify their position before arguing against it, which is just repeat it to them so they can hear you, right? They can hear you and like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because then me personally, I'll say, because later on, I don't want you to change the goalpost. I don't want you to change your definition or your argument halfway. So say everything now.
And that's the beauty of like debating.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's so much fun.
You can control. In a sense,
you can control what's happening.
It will control, and then the topic doesn't ever like diffuse or go somewhere else because you're in total control of what we're talking about and how and clarifying your points, clarifying my points. So and then none of us get like emotional in a sense.
I mean, emotion will still get in.
It is, but like,
much less.
Much less.
And the last point is engage with their strongest argument, not a weaker version, right? Because if you do that, which is steel manning it, the other person will respect you. And believe it or not, if you lose the debate or like you admit like, okay, maybe my one point is wrong, the other person is not going to see as weak, but intelligent. Like, oh, okay, they're willing to accept when they're wrong. Then that means I can do it as well. Yeah. Believe it or not, right? So steel manning it, repeat their argument, and just ask yourself, is this what they're actually saying? So you can avoid that.
Gotcha.
It makes sense?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Those are two good ones, ad hominem and strawman.
Strawman fallacies.
Fallacies. And do you have
one more? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes. So this last one, because Joshua was calling me.
Oh, okay.
So you'll cut it out, so don't worry.
So then you just...
I'm going to mention the last point, and then you'll just connect it again.
Yeah, so let's just keep it going.
Yeah, just keep it going. I just want to see what he says.
Just start off saying... And my last one, like you said before.
And my last one. Okay, wait. Let me just call this motherfucker back.
You got it, bro.
No, not yet. Joshua, what happened?
Amiel.
What?
Yo, who else is going to paintball?
Why?
Because I'm trying to find a ride.
Bro, I thought you were going with me.
No, because Yona and David will go with you, and me and Menachem will go with the rabbi.
Oh, okay.
But I'm trying. The rabbi's not answering his damn phone. Yeah, Emil, the rabbi's not picking up, Loki. I called him like twice in the past hour. I called him an hour ago, didn't pick up. I called him now, didn't pick up.
So, bro, worst comes to worst, just come with me. You 4 people will just have to fucking just squeeze, bro. That's it.
All right, bet.
Okay, but that means you got to go to David's house then.
All right. What time do I have to be there by?
By 1 o'clock. No. I'm sorry. Paintball is at 1 o'clock. So try to be there by like 12:40, 12:35, 12:40.
Paintball's at 1?
Yeah, paintball's at 1.
1:30.
No, 1.
You guys said like 1:32.
No, if you look at the thing, it says 1. Okay, guys. So listen, I'm gonna pick up your brother and David like at 12:40 at David's house. Okay.
Josh, Rabbi me is morning. Let me give you a call back.
All right. Well, don't call me back. Just text me. All right, bye.
See you.
Is it place 4?
No, place is 3, but
place is what?
What?
The place?
The place is 30 minutes away.
Oh, but what time does it start?
I put 1, but I really want people to get there 1:15. I did it on purpose.
Because it's at 1:30.
No, I put 1, but like you can get there a little bit late. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I just tell people a certain time so they get there.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, so let's finish it. So let me do my last fallacy, okay? Okay. So my last fallacy that I want to speak about is it's called I think this is one of the top ones that we speak about all the time. The black and white fallacy, or the false dilemma fallacy.
I was literally looking at that fallacy.
The black and white fallacy, where when you're in an argument,
it's called the gray fallacy. But
did you come up with a new term?
Yeah. Go for it.
That basically their argument, or they'll take your argument and they'll only make an argument into 2 options. That's it. It's either black or it's white. There is no middle ground.
Oh God.
So it's like you got to choose one. Now, sometimes that is the case where you could only choose one.
There
right?
is certain things that common knowledge, common sense. They are black and white.
Correct. Like it's.
But it could get gray, depending.
I would say most of life is gray areas, right?
I agree.
But if you're in an argument, if we know that most of life is a gray area or there's middle ground solutions, then most arguments and most debates, there can be a middle ground solution.
Correct.
I think for certain things, there is no middle ground. You got to pick one or the other. Like, I don't know, can you be a Buddhist or a Hindu and at the same time be a Christian? Probably not. I don't think so. Can you be in a polytheistic religion where you accept many gods but be a Christian? Of course not. That's not going to happen.
Doesn't make sense, yeah.
Unless they make up a mixed religion, but then it's neither Christianity or Buddhism or Hinduism. It's a conglomerate of something, right? Right. So you can't really do that. You got to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's besides the point. So a lot of times people fall into that fallacy. You got to choose A or B. That's it.
Right.
So choose one now, right? And then they kind of like put pressure on you, right? So an example I wrote
is like the train is like my way, the highway.
Correct. And it's like I'm in the healthcare, profession, as you know. It's like, and I've heard this before. It's like someone will say, America needs, we need to improve our access to healthcare, which America does. I mean, all countries do, right? There's pros and cons to different healthcare systems. America we definitely have to improve.
We saw what happened recently. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. So the first person says we need more access to healthcare.
Yeah.
The second person then says, so you're saying we should have full government control over healthcare like a socialist state? Like, no, first of all, that's not what I said. In a way, that's also straw man. In a way, that's also a straw man. But it's like giving like a black or white definition. It's like there's middle ground solutions for healthcare, right? We don't have to fix everything right now, and we don't have to go to one extreme or the other. Mm-hmm. Let's find the middle ground solution, right? The problem is that a lot of times with middle ground solutions, it takes more work to get there.
A lot.
Because of a compromise. And you say something fascinating about compromises is that a lot of times people don't like compromises because none of you are completely winning.
No one's winning.
Completely
winning. No one's completely winning. Is more of a like we're both winning and losing at the same time.
Correct.
And no one really likes compromise, but sometimes it's for the better of either situation or relationship.
Mm-hmm. And this happens so much.
Yeah.
Right now, again, why does this happen? Again, there's different theories from different authors, but the one that I found interesting, and I mentioned the word already, heuristic, which just means a mental leap or a mental shortcut.
Okay. So
there's a theory called the heuristic thinking, which is, again, we as humans, we rely on quick mental shortcuts or quick thinking to get to a conclusion, right? So instead of analyzing gray areas, which can be a lot more complicated because there's more variables and factors, our brains want to make things simple. So it's like a mix of cognitive laziness, but heuristic thinking, because our brain, we want to categorize issues into two extremes. Why? Because it's faster and requires less effort.
Yeah.
And again, we don't realize a lot of times when we're doing this. And I've seen this a lot, like, for example, especially like when Democrats and Republicans go at each other. Wow, it's like you are the devil. It's like you are a saint and this is God, and then you're the devil, and both would say that about each other.
Yeah,
maybe not those specific words, but like the concepts. This is good. This is evil. That is it.
And if you don't accept my side, then you're a piece of crap. Like,
then you're a piece of crap. Then you're evil. You're evil.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, humans like this type of thinking because it's easy to just pick a side. Like, oh, I want to be in the good side, or I believe in this cause and I'm going to be over here, right? And a lot of the times, this types of thinking, the black and white thinking, makes people more unified, actually. It promotes tribalism.
I can definitely see that, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, we represent the good, right? They're all bad, so they're our enemies. And when you have an enemy, it creates, well, it starts with the letter P.
Pressure.
Close. P-U-R.
Purity.
No, purpose.
Okay. Oh.
You were close. Don't worry. So yeah, when you have a common enemy, it creates purpose, and it gives you meaning. I must defeat them. I'm the gladiator, like Gladiator, like the movie, right? So that's what happens a lot of the times why we as humans fall into this. And we just like thinking that way. That's also why a lot of the times people cannot have contradicting beliefs in our minds, because it creates cognitive dissonance.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Which means discomfort in your mind, and we don't like to have that.
It's hard to challenge yourself,
yes.
your own mind, and now you have a point of view, but now to think differently, and it can make you uncomfortable. You just prefer to, in a sense, like be ignorant to it.
Be ignorant or just choose a side.
Or choose a side, yes.
Right. I've known people who they're like, this is too complex for me, right?
Like,
I don't need to know this. It's not going to be applicable to my life. I'm just going to choose here because I'm comfortable here. And a lot of people, they won't say that. I have a friend who, you know, I
know your friend.
Yes, you know my friend. You don't like him too much, but I do. And
he could be watching. I like your friend.
Oh, you like my friend? Okay, fine. And I remember one time we were having a theological debate, and he's one of the few people that's ever told me this. He told me, listen, we're going to be good friends for a while, but just let's not speak about this. And I asked him, like, why? And he said, listen, you might be right, but you know something? I don't want to think about it, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at, right? And I said, no problem. You do you. If you feel good in your own subjective experience, fantastic. You're happy? Okay, good. Right? But at least he was honest with me, like, I'm comfortable here. This is too complex for me. I don't want to get into the nuances, even though you might be right. So technically, if we're such logical beings and I might be right, then why doesn't he come to my side? It's because we as humans, confirmation bias, as we said in the last one, and we want to stay where we're comfortable.
Or it could be, like you said, laziness as well. I'm lazy enough to not study or challenge you to see if you're either wrong or right. Or it could be people aren't comfortable with cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Therefore, might not be my laziness, but it's too much for me.
Correct.
And I'm comfortable where I'm at. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just speak about
something else.
Something else that could create peace and unity between you and I.
Correct. But if someone told you what I just mentioned, I guess you would drop it, correct?
Of course, yeah. I mean, for respect, you know.
For respect. And listen, they're honest. They were honest, and they were mature enough and intelligent enough
to realize
and be self-aware and tell me, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. So we want to have this conversation. And the way you get rid of, or the way you avoid this fallacy, again, we're always going to commit a fallacy, but the ways you can avoid this fallacy is ask, are there more than two options? And most of the time, there will be more than two options. Recognize that most issues are complex and have multiple perspectives. And lastly, look for alternate viewpoints before making a decision. So you don't fall into, okay, it's only A or B, and that's it. Understand that a lot of problems are very complex. Healthcare, political, theological, religion, philosophical. It's very complex. Look at all the arguments, look at all the viewpoints, and really ask yourself, is there truly no other way or middle ground? Of course, if there isn't, then you got to choose, right?
Yeah.
Based on whatever you feel, but also what has the best evidence. But most things are going to have a middle ground solution. So you got to ask yourself these questions. And I think anything you want to mention before I mention the next point about what I just said?
No, I mean, just life is very gray.
Yes, we know that.
Obviously, going to go case by case. Some things are black and white, not much, but some things are. And it's just, like you said, it's based on evidence, based on understanding and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if we can all, you and me, and just anyone watching, if we can truly avoid fallacies, people are going to respect you more. People are going to see you as more intelligent. But of course, the only way to get to that point is you have to learn, study it. I'm not saying you could get a PhD in this stuff, but be aware of your emotions, where you are logically. And I think if you're self-aware, you can ask yourself these questions. Not only are you going to be a better argumenter or debater, which is, for me, the superficial, but you'll be a better human being, more compassionate, more understanding, and understand that there's a lot of nuances, complexity to everything. And if you can have that in your mind and understand that, you're going to be a phenomenal human being that's going to give back to society, to yourself, to your friends, to your family. And you're going to be a breath of fresh air, because most people are not like this, and you're bringing something new to the table.